Over the course of my search for the worst fighting game, I've gotten many requests, and this is another of them. Fighting Masters, a Sega Genesis exclusive of all fucking things. No arcade version, nothing else. Straight to the Genesis in December of 1991. Since this is the search for the worst fighting game of all time on this channel, Fighting Masters is, of course, a fighting game. You and one opponent face off in a duel to the death. Fighting Masters features a 2-button control scheme, which is kinda odd considering the Genesis had a 3-button pad to use, as well as a 6-button pad to use too. 1 button for attacking in this game, and 1 button for jumping, with the D-pad moving you all around, of course, as well as being able to modify certain jump attacks too. What this game really centers around, though, is the grappling with your foes. Fighting Masters has this auto-grapple system, kinda akin to the Fire Pro Wrestling series of games, and your fights will basically be decided by your grappling capabilities. Crux of the game is this: you and your opponent are teleported into an arena to fight. You have your life bar down here, and you only have 1 fight to contest to determine who the victor is. Your attack button also unleashes your strikes, which are all unique to your chosen character, of course. As I mentioned, you also have some jumping strikes too, which are great for getting in on your foe. Your strikes do some damage, but their main purpose is to stun your foe, opening them up for an easy grapple and subsequent throw. Every character has 3 unique throws to dish out the pain on their enemies. At a base, I believe all of these grabs do like 2 full bars of damage, and they're all pretty rad looking too, I won't lie. But to make them even more devastating, your throws can do even more damage if you slam your foe into the wall of an arena. This German suplex right here, I've actually had it hit up to 4 times, doing an immense amount of damage in the process. So that would be your overall game plan when playing Fighting Masters. Kick them in the mouth, and then do your absolute best to slam them into the walls as often as you can. But hold on, I've gotten a bit ahead of myself here. Why are we fighting to the death exactly? Well, that's explained in the opening text scroll. You see, the sun is about to go supernova, meaning the certain death of 12 distinct civilizations that will be caught in the nova's blast range. Fortunately for one of these 12 races, a super advanced race of beings known as the Primaries are willing to save one of the endangered species from their impending doom, but they will only save the civilization whose representative can win a tournament of the martial arts, one that will be contested to the death. So the 12 civilizations scramble to find their strongest champion and send them off to the Primaries to fight for their entire race's survival. A veritable tournament of power before the tournament of power was even concepted. As said, 12 races, so 12 different characters to select here. The best part of these 12 is that, outside of the very basic wrestler man, all of these characters are completely over the top and insane design-wise. You have Garnisha Elephantis, a kickboxing horse, a woman with tonfas, a killer robot, a giant statue head, a griffin man, a lobster man, some sort of fat monster thing that reminds me of the genie from Aladdin, a literal fucking dragon, Audrey 12, and a cycloptic boxer. A strange thing to note, though, is that all of these characters, barring the Amazon Maureen, the Plant Man Dio, and Gold Rock the Golem Head, all of these characters receive different localized names in the North American release, which I'm not really sure why, since, well, most of these names are entirely inappropriate for a North American audience. Didn't see the need for them to be changed at all, at least in my opinion. Each character also has these stats, which maybe mean something? Not entirely sure. Also, everyone is fucking massive, like 50 feet tall minimum, and all weigh thousands of pounds. The earth quakes when you grapple with your enemy. I like the rather wacky design for all these characters, though. Hell, I'll even give some credit to the basic wrestler man. This could be Hulk Hogan in some B-movie where he saves the earth by wrestling. What sadly doesn't really match up to the character designs, though, are the rather simple and plain levels you fight in. They're not bad, but there's only 3 of them, 4 counting the final boss's arena, which we'll talk about later, okay? You got this Chinese shrine, a stone coliseum, and the jungle, which is probably the best level since it has a simple background element in this river flowing. It's just kinda all okay, honestly. Sound-wise, I think the music in this game is tolerable. Sadly though, since this is a cartridge game, the sounds were quite limited. None of the characters in this game have a unique sound set. Hell, you didn't even get a male sound set, female sound set like in Street Fighter 2. This stinks, of course, but the trade-off is having 12 total characters to play. So, trade-offs, really. Since I had such an awesome collection of freaks to use, I played the basic wrestler man, of course. Like I said earlier, Hulk Hogan saving the world with wrestling. That's the plot I went with in my head. In the single player game, you'll do battle with every fighter, minus the mirror match, of course, because I guess they couldn't figure out alternate palettes at all. Arcade was pretty standard, I can't lie, but with a few incredibly busted outliers opponent-wise. Phoenix was the first roadblock I ended up hitting. It might have just been a thing with the mechanics, admittedly, or it was just the AI fucking cheating. Since grappling happens automatically, it's basically a toss-up of who wins in any non-stun situation, and by toss-up, I mean the AI wins roughly 80% of the time. This is especially annoying with more mobile characters like Phoenix, who can zip all over the fucking screen and very quickly swoop down into a grab almost instantly, one you won't react to. It took me several tries to get used to this, but I finally did beat Phoenix. To talk strategy for a moment, a lot of my matches I typically just kind of spazzed out with jumping attacks, which actually was pretty effective, but for the more difficult matches, I found it was actually genuinely good to play footsies against your opponent so you can stun them and get in. Though, I could be biased since Dirk here has an amazing standing kick for an attack, and he has the classic Ryu crouching medium kick as well. Perfect zoning tools. I never thought I'd say that for one of the games on this list. This one actually kind of functions like a fighting game should. It's weird. Even with that in mind though, the margin for error in this game is very, very small. 1 round fights and a maximum of 5 continues to beat 12 regular opponents. And a boss too. Something that helps a bit, when you win a fight you get a ton of health back, which can, and unless you're super low at the end of a given fight, it will press you over the normal amount of health that a character starts with, giving you a bit of an advantage over your normal opponent. But you really gotta learn this game, especially when you fight the other broken ass normal fighter, and who else? I don't know what it is with this Aubrey 2 looking motherfucker, but he is just busted. Might honestly be the best character in the game. Insane normals, powerful grabs, and great damage too. It would be the character named Dio, of course. Don't be an idiot like me. If you're gonna challenge this game at all, pick Dio. You'll win much, much easier than me. After you battle through the other 11 competitors, you will get faced with the game's final boss in Lord Valgasu, who is, of course, an asshole SNK boss. His normals are insane, he does more damage than you, and will straight annihilate you in like 3 to 4 grapples. He also starts with more health than your average opponent too. Good luck. I'm pretty sure he also doesn't have a dedicated flinch animation too. He kinda just tanks it and stands there like beast mode Kiryu. He's still vulnerable during this scene. It's still counted as a stun, thankfully, but still, you gotta know that first before you start grappling. What really sucks though is his grapples aren't even cool. Like, what is this even? This sucks. He should have had like a burning hammer or something awesome like that. But after many attempts, which these attempts get grating after a while because the round over bell sounds like this. I managed to take down Lord Valgasu, ensuring the survival of my race from the impending supernova. Do I care that I just ensured the total annihilation of 11 or 12 sentient species?
Nope.
Get fucked, losers. I'd say try harder next time, but you're all fucking dead. But that's Fighting Masters. Certainly an interesting cross between a fighting and a wrestling game. 2 things that I very much enjoy, honestly. But where to put it on the list of worst fighting games? Well, all said and done, I'm actually gonna put Fighting Masters down as the new number 10. Admittedly, I had some very low expectations going into this one, since it came from the same discussion as DBZ Taiketsu, but really? This one was alright. It's by no means a great game, it's very rough around the edges, but it is far superior to most of the trash that I've played on this list. I think if this one had a dedicated grapple button and perhaps a bit more clarity on who is winning a given grapple, it would have gone a long way to making this way better. While it was pretty negatively received at the time of its release, Fighting Masters has rehabbed its image a bit, with people now seeing it as a pretty admirable attempt at a fighting game, especially since it was developed before Street Fighter 2 really defined the genre. With Street Fighter 2 even coming out the exact same year as this one though, God, imagine coming out the same year as one of the literal goats of fighting games. But I won't lie, the rather flat, boring level designs and lack of good sound effects also really don't help it stick out at all. Thankfully, I do like that they went really nuts with the character designs, and 12 is a pretty big roster for a cartridge game, I won't lie. Shout out once again to my man, Rad for another fine suggestion for the hunt, but I gotta end this one here. As always, dearest viewers, my name is HadesManticore. This here channel is CityStateManticore. Thanks a ton for watching if you did. Be sure to drop a fat like, and if you have a suggestion for the fighting game you'd like to see on the list, definitely drop it below, good or bad. I'd love to hear about it. Be sure to subscribe too, since, as always, there's more content to come. I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.